Hello, my name is Christy Marriott, and I'm going to be presenting my collaborative Canvas writing course. When I ask a student to write an essay, this is what they look like. And then when I go to grade their essays, this is what I look like. So, my number one problem is that I have a group of students with a lower than average ability to write. Part of the problem is that they started out as a large class in kindergarten, and then they have just every year been very large, and this has made it difficult for them to learn some of these things like writing because the teacher's being stretched really thin. So I feel like this is my opportunity to kind of help them out. Writing is a difficult subject that needs a lot of immediate feedback. And so this course will provide that with peer feedback as well as teacher feedback. But the peer feedback will help in many ways, and I'll explain that later. The last thing is ESL students. My group of students, I have 3 students that all are just recently from, a Spanish-speaking country. So I know that they're really struggling with writing in general. So this is an opportunity for me to help them as well. So one of my ESL students wrote this, and although she's ESL, I have several other students that aren't ESL that write even worse than this. So I'll just give you an example. For this writing prompt, my students were asked to describe Alaska or bear country to a person that is blind. And this was a test for the school district. So this is what this student wrote. She says, "Have you been to Alaska or the bear country? Well, just let me tell you about it. Yes, we are finally going to see the nature in Alaska, and we are going to have the best year ever and play some fun games like the ice park," said Michaela. "We are going to have it really fun passing time with our family. I can't even wait to be in Alaska because I really love the nature. It's so great and in one of my favorite things to do." So I'm not going to read the rest, but you guys kind of get the point. Not only is there punctuation problems and grammar mistakes, but the formatting is really off, and it's just really, it needs a lot of help. So that is one of the reasons why I needed this Canvas course. The second problem that I'm hoping to solve is a different job opportunity. I would like to pitch an idea to my principal. The idea is that I would work half-time as the technology specialist and half-time as a regular teacher. Principals don't have the money to do a full-time technology person in their school. That would be taking a whole teacher away. So by working half-time as a teacher, I could still fill that need, but then also fill the need of a technology specialist. The job would include teaching teachers and students how to use the technology. Teachers just don't have enough time. I don't have enough time to get in all the technology investigations and brainstorming and design ideas. And this would give me a way to do that and help other teachers that are trying to do that as well. I would help them with like Google Classroom and Canvas, Front Row, iReady, and other programs that we use. I would also help them interpret and use the data they generate. I would teach students how to get into these websites and programs and how to use and what the purpose of these technologies are and how they can be used in and out of school. So some of the things that we just don't have time but are so necessary is, like teaching some basic coding would be so fun, and I could do that as one of the options. I could even do that as an after-school program type thing. And anyway, just to encourage the technology use and getting our students ready for the real world. So my main plan is to create this Canvas course dedicated to writing, starting with very basic and moving up to a full essay. So the basic would be, writing a sentence, then moving on to writing a paragraph, and then from there a short essay, which would be 3 paragraphs, and then a full essay, which is 5 paragraphs for 5th graders, and including things like an introduction and a conclusion, the main body, and kind of some of the prescriptive things that are required for writing. The students that are experts know how to break those rules, but the ones that are not don't even know where to begin. So I'll help them get there. Students would be partnered with other students, some that are not too high or too low, so in order to maintain a reciprocal teaching partnership. And what that means is my students, if I had a really, really high student with a really, really low student, it would just be basically I would have created a teaching and direct instruction teaching situation instead of a partnership. So my goal is to get students that are closer to the same level. I do want one that's a little bit higher, but that way the little bit higher one is doing the learning as well as the teaching, and the other one can also share their talents in order for the two of them to learn together. Students would read and review lessons together, then work on the assignments together in class. And the purpose of in class is because not all students have internet connection, and so this is a way for them to work on the technology, but in an environment that will kind of help them a little bit more. Feedback will be built in as a way of learning and as a way of teaching. Part of each assignment will have a rubric, and each student will grade each other using the rubric, and I'll explain that a little bit more. So information architecture. This is what my information architecture looks like. I had some teachers that I work with, or subject matter experts. They helped me to after I thought I had planned it out, they helped me reorganize it in a way that made a little more sense. So how to write a sentence, of course, is my Module 1, and how to do a self-evaluation and peer review is part of that Module 1. And they will be embedded within many of the assignments and lessons. Module 2, again, will have how to do the evaluation, as well as how to write a paragraph, and then how to write a short essay. Module 3 will be how to write a full essay along with the evaluation. In the future, I feel like not all of my students would need Module 1, and not all of them would even need Module 2. So my hope is that I'd have different students starting on different levels, and that's okay. But for this year, I feel like the whole class needs Module 1. It's pretty bad. So that's where we're going. My information architecture for writing a sentence looks like this as a whole. And then if I move on closer, you can see my Module 1 has the zone of proximal development. And I have a lot of I do and examples and modeled things for them to view and watch, and then we do where they practice together, and then an I do where they do it themselves, and they're tested and quizzed a little bit on their own level. I mean, not on their own level, as an individual. They will have a rubric which will help them self-evaluate, peer evaluate, and then the teacher will use that rubric to also give an evaluation, which then they can go through the process again, and if they don't like how things turn out, they can fix it and then be evaluated again. So let me move on. So the content, at least for this first one that you will see, is I will be starting with capitalization. And again, I had my my SMEs, my user testers, kind of changed the way I had this. I had actually had this a little bit different, but this made the most sense to all of us together, and so this is how this turned out. Capitalization obviously comes first, and we're talking about mints, and what mints are is the rules for capitalization, and then assignments and quizzes. Now there's going to be like 2 or 3 assignments for each one of these areas, and then 1 to 2 quizzes or games for them to play to kind of have an individual experience away from their partner. This is kind of what that looks like. So then the self-evaluation looks like this. They would get the rubric and they would check it. They would reread their materials as well as the rubric, and then go through and check them off. They would leave positive comments in the margins. They would use constructive feedback where needed, using questions and ideas on how to fix things instead of wow, that really sucked. We would talk about how that looks instead of using negative words, so we would use words that are helpful. And then checking out the rubric as we go, ask for clarification, and then repeat the process as needed. That's kind of what each one looks like, but they'll be more specific towards the lesson. So hopefully that helps you understand. My working model looks like this. There will be a home page, there's modules, announcements, discussions, grades, collaboration, and then Google Drive. So this is one of my students' pages, and this is what the modules page looks like. I'll show you what the rest of it looks like in a second. Here it is. So, whoops, let me come back over here. My student has an inbox. They can see that there's an announcement. I've made an announcement, and we've talked about how all of these work. When they click in here, they can see this right here, and this goes through all of the features and what everything looks like and how to use it. It's pretty thorough, and I tell them the first day, last Monday, I had them go through and watch it, and then they stopped it and they did the things as I did them, and they did it with their partners. So this is what that kind of looked like. Hello class. I'm not gonna make you watch that, but there it is. This gives them a short idea of what this class is about. The modules. This is the first module. I'm not finished with the others, but this will show you the first one right now. And there's a welcome, and I kind of give them the objective and what the purpose is. They can go and read the real objective, but anyway, this gives them the purpose. Then there's a short thing on explanation on what capitalization is, and a fun little YouTube on it's just a fun way to learn. Anyway, months. Anyway, you kind of get the idea. And then this is our first one. I go and I have a lot of the same tools. I give them this just to make sure. I also give them a rubric so that they know what it's kind of a success criteria. What does it look like if you're going to have it done correctly, and what the points look like. And so this is the checkoff that they will give themselves as well as their peers. This is their assignment, and then this is the instructions. And I also gave a way to, this right here is how to do assessments and evaluations. So this is that one part that I showed you before. So far, this has been working really well. I'm going to get some more feedback, and I'll just keep changing it as I need to and keep adding as we go. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.